Okay, y'all know that I will never forgo a chance to dunk on Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski because she's the worst kind of simpering, posturing, like, I don't want to go along with what's happening. But then she does every single time. Oh, guys, I'm a moderate Republican and I don't want to support the regime. But then she fucking supports the regime. Yeah, so I talked the other week about how she was the deciding vote. Basically, she and the other senator from Alaska were the two votes that made all of the difference in whether or not the Senate was going to have the Epstein Files released or call demand for the Epstein Files to be released. She, Lisa Murkowski, she is the one, after saying that the victims deserve justice and the American people deserve to know what's in the files, she voted against releasing them, and she gave some limp excuse. And so, of course, I was like, fuck her. All of Alaska, why do you keep voting for her? I know that she's very wealthy. She's very well connected. But I kind of moved along and was waiting for the next time. She told everybody, Donald Trump is twisting my arm and I'm having to support fascism, even though my heart's not really in it. Girl, if you wanted to stand up against fascism, you would. Girl, you're supporting the regime because you want to support the regime. You're betraying American democracy and your constituents. But whatever, I was just moving along. And then I saw something on Blue Sky this morning. It's a video that I reshared, and it is by Tara Palmieri. It's quite long, so I won't reproduce it here. You can go watch it there. But I am going to be referencing Tara's report on Lisa Murkowski and why it is that she voted against the Epstein Files being released. Now, Tara's piece, that is co-authored by Abby Baker, is published in the Red Letter September 25th of this year. It's entitled Senator Murkowski's Ghislaine Maxwell Problem. Yeah. So they're doing a series called The Reckoning, which is about how survivors are taking justice into their own hands because nobody else will, clearly not Congress. Now, this story is breaking from Palmieri, and I'm trying to find other sources to corroborate her investigative journalism. But it looks like she is the first to report on this, so just so you know. I always try and have 2 or 3 sources, but in this instance, it's just the one. So for this installment featuring Epstein survivors taking justice into their own hands, Palmieri and Baker interview Marika Chartouni, who is an Alaskan and an Epstein survivor. She has turned her attention to Senator Lisa Murkowski and her deciding vote on September 10th to block the release of the Epstein Files. I'm going to read a little bit from the article here. Chartouni uncovered Murkowski's long-standing ties to Ghislaine Maxwell's husband, Scott Borgerson, and many occasions Murkowski appeared on stage with Maxwell at ocean advocacy conferences. These were appearances that, intentionally or not, helped launder Maxwell's name, even as she was publicly linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Chartouni's foray into opposition research came after a crushing moment. She was misled by Harriet Hageman, who's a Republican from Wyoming, at the Reagan National Airport into believing that she had voted for the bipartisan Epstein Files Transparency Act, which was co-sponsored by Republican Thomas Massie and Democrat Ro Khanna. At the time, Chartouni burst into tears of joy, but she discovered that Congressman Hageman had lied to her. She was devastated, but she quickly learned the vocabulary of Washington. What she found out was that Hageman had not actually voted for the co-sponsored act to release the files, but instead had backed Mike Johnson's countermeasure, which was, as the article described it, a move designed to bury the issue in a sham investigation run by the House Oversight Committee. She said it was the duplicity of Hageman that made her determined to figure out how lobbying and information sharing worked in Washington, D.C., and to figure out how to beat them at their own game. She became determined to learn one of their sharpest tools, opposition research. So when Murkowski cast the fateful vote to decide on the Epstein Files not being released, Chartouni took it personally. She needs to be shamed, she said. She said, I'm from Alaska and it's personal, right? She's an Epstein survivor and her own senator voted against getting justice and transparency for her. So she went digging, did some of that opposition research. Why is it that Murkowski would publicly say that she wanted the Epstein Files released, but when it came down to a vote, she voted against it? I mean, that's pretty classic Lisa Murkowski saying, I don't want this, you guys. I don't support this. But at the end of the day, she votes for it anyway. So what was uncovered was a tangle of connections between Murkowski, Maxwell, her husband Borgerson, and the Anchorage Daily News publisher and political donor Alice Rogoff. So there was this whole move to redefine where the Arctic Circle line is, and that would make a significant difference in some of the business dealings of people involved in what is called the Arctic Circle Conference Circuit. And in this sphere, Murkowski repeatedly overlapped with Ghislaine's husband Borgerson and also once Ghislaine herself. So the article says, for Murkowski, the release of those files isn't just about Epstein. It's about reminders of who she chose to share a stage with and what that signified. So Murkowski's record. For more than a decade, Lisa Murkowski moved in the same Arctic policy circles as Maxwell, Borgerson, and then this Anchorage Daily publisher, Rogoff. Borgerson, who is Maxwell's husband, was Lisa Murkowski's colleague and stakeholder. He was a rising star in Arctic maritime investments. Then, a married man with 2 children, he met Maxwell in 2013 at the inaugural Arctic Circle Forum in Iceland, where Murkowski also spoke, but their overlap actually began back in 2009. Back then, Murkowski and Borgerson both testified at a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing. She later featured an article in which he's quoted on her website. In 2011 and 2012, they appeared together at the Arctic Imperative Summit and at the Center for American Progress when they had an event about this issue. In 2016, Borgerson moderated a conversation with Murkowski at the Council on Foreign Relations. But it's more than that, y'all. Borgerson's company Cargometrics LLC stood to profit from Arctic shipping routes, an issue central to Murkowski's constituency. The horrors of the Epstein Files would make some question the judgment of Murkowski to continue to associate with Borgerson, who was in that period of time in a relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, a woman so closely linked to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, who she remained in contact with long after he was indicted in 2008, even if Lisa Murkowski's own state stood to benefit. Now, Murkowski's team says the senator met with Maxwell in passing at an international conference more than 10 years ago, never spending meaningful time with her or having any substantive conversation with her, and was completely unaware of her crimes or association with Jeffrey Epstein. There is no further connection between them, and to suggest otherwise is simply false. I don't know about you, but it's a little sus to think that a United States senator would not do due diligence when it comes to people that she has attended multiple events with, whose content she shares on her website, who have had an association across many years. Right? For her spokesperson to say that she didn't know anything about Ghislaine Maxwell's past, and that they didn't dig into who Borgerson was involved with and then married to, seems a little sus to me. This is a high stakes issue, right? Arctic shipping routes. Arctic shipping routes are not only vital to Borgerson's firm, but also to Murkowski's constituents. It seems off to me that there wouldn't be more due diligence there. For Murkowski to have a direct connection to Ghislaine Maxwell and then suddenly reverse course and refuse to vote for the release of the Epstein Files, that coincidence seems awfully strong to me. So I look forward to hearing more from Tara Palmieri and Abby Baker about what their investigative reporting turns up. If there's other information corroborating this or expanding upon this, I will be sure to share it. Honestly, to me, any member of Congress who is opposing the release of the Epstein Files, immediately suspect. If that's your representative or your senator, I really encourage you to contact them and say, why is it? Why is it that you don't care about the victims? Why is it that you don't want transparency? Who are you protecting? Are you part of the cover-up? Are you part of the cover-up that is trying to deny Epstein's victims justice? Ask them. Make them go on the record. I cannot fathom a single excuse that is legitimate as to why any member of Congress would suppress the release of the Epstein Files.